Hi, and a warm welcome to you for today's topic. Today, we're going to be talking about the research that is behind and based on this big book that I wrote, which is Metaphysical Anatomy. It's a big book of 679 medical elements and also the psychosomatic stress of that for adults. And yes, of course, we also have the children's version as well. But for today's talk, we're going to be talking about adults. Now, all these books are also available on evettebooks.com or on Amazon. So let's now dive into the language of our body. Now, what is this? What does it even mean that the language of the body? People sometimes wonder, is it like the way that you sit? Is it the way that you look? I mean, the list can be endless. In this specific case, when I refer to the language of the body, it means the body is trying to communicate something to you that is causing it stress. Something is not working correctly in the body. Now, it can maybe be, for example, your diet is not good, the body is maybe starting to feel really unhealthy. Maybe you are repeating certain activities way too much, and your body is starting to feel really stressed and strained. And the body is trying to communicate to you, hey, I don't like this. Now, this is all parts and aspects of how the body can communicate with us. But our communication with the body is also very closely tied in with our relationship with the body. Now, if I had to ask you just right off the bat, how good is your relationship with your body? How good is your relationship with you? Now, most of us might actually say, it's so so. If you were me 15 years ago, I would be like, my relationship with my body? Like, what? I thought you have a relationship with other people. That would have been me. Now, what I learned is that most of us have a bad relationship with our body because when we look at the reason why, is because we have a relationship with it. It means that we can feel. So if you have a relationship, you can feel what's going on. You feel that connection with yourself. Now, the word feel is already kind of like starting to tap into the reason why we might have some challenges and stress with that relationship. We don't like emotions. We as humans, we don't like feeling our emotions. When we look at how our lives are set up, when you just look around you, you'll see how many people have set up their lives in ways to actually not feel. We are constantly getting stuck in patterns and behavioral patterns that are taking us away from feeling our emotions. And we learn how to intellectualize our lives. We intellectualize where we think we should go or head into with our careers, what relationships we should get into. It's like, do I like this person? Do I not? We don't really feel it. We think about it. We intellectualize it. We think about it rather than feel into it. Because listen, I get it. Let's be honest. Emotions most of the time, and they can actually be pretty unpleasant, especially if you've been stuck in a negative frame of mind for a while, or at least on that day. And it's because of maybe things from the past that happened. It could be something that was very upsetting, something very stressful, relationship dynamics as well. But at the end, the reason can be endless. But something left an emotional scar in your heart, and your body hasn't fully healed from it. It hasn't fully recovered from it. Now, whatever it is, this can now sometimes change and program how we see the world, how we feel, and how we interpret certain people and our relationships also with them. Now, I know that certain events from the past can, sometimes affect your ability to have healthy relationships, to have healthy habits, and to have healthy eating habits, and maybe even also have healthy relationship with yourself. Because now all this unresolved trauma and this stress means that your body and its nervous system was never able to regulate itself after a traumatic event. And that traumatic event now remains the memory, right? It remains as a memory throughout the body, the cellular memory, and also in the muscle tissue, the cognitive pathways as well. And also, what I would call, for example, in this case, the emotional body. Now, why am I talking about the emotional body? What is that? Now, the emotional body is also what you can call the psychosomatic body. This is the body that can feel, of course, now in emotions in this case, but also where we can feel and sense our intuition. Now, this is where we have an emotional response. And sometimes when we feel a feeling, and the feeling can sometimes be so upsetting or maybe so stressful that maybe sometimes you get nauseous, or suddenly it's like your neck starts to hurt. And or maybe suddenly you have pain in your ankle when you feel a certain strong emotion, like when you have a fear of public speaking. Maybe your hands might start sweating and your knees might start shaking a little bit. Now, all these emotional psychosomatic responses, it's not necessarily because you're ill. It's not necessarily because there's an ailment. It can actually just be stress related. And the body is showing a certain physical response to this stress. Now, it's this stress, it's this message that the body is trying to relate to you and to say that I'm stressed. Help me find a solution. This is where we normally suppress the language of the body, because that it is the language of the body. When the body is trying to communicate to you that it's not well, and it's trying to communicate to you that it needs help, or maybe it needs extra resources. Maybe if you get sick, it means it's telling you, I'm deficient in certain vitamins. Maybe because you're so stressed that the body is now becoming malnourished. So the body is going to now come up and say, hey, I'm going to have the flu now because, maybe just a common flu, because I don't have enough of what I need. You see, the body needs you to help it to achieve and to gain the goal that it's after, especially, for example, when it's food and dietary related. But now, apart from diet, we also have our mental health as well. Now, if we are always thinking bad thoughts, negative emotions, these emotions can actually have a psychosomatic impact on your physical body. Have you noticed that when you get super stressed, you have a headache? Or maybe you have a super stressful weekend and then suddenly you come down with the flu. Or maybe you have so much stress and suddenly you feel really, really nauseous and you feel like you almost like you can't digest your emotions. You see, so here now you feel really sick. Maybe you don't want to eat. Maybe you feel like there's a lot of gas in your intestines and you feel just really bloated. You feel very uncomfortable. That's a stress related response. That's your body's language saying that I'm not okay. Now, the biggest stress that we have with the body's language is that we need to have awareness of the emotional well being of our body. And in order to have awareness of it, we need to be able to feel. We need to be able to recognize our emotions and our bodily sensations instead of constantly suppressing it with maybe cigarettes or alcohol, maybe excessive exercising or partying. I mean, constantly deflecting, doing something other than meeting the body halfway, at least just halfway, and listening to it and connecting to it. Now, when we just look at connecting to the body, that's really hard sometimes because it's in that place and space where we sometimes feel certain emotions or sensations that we don't want to feel. And that's why it's so hard sometimes to meditate. Because when we meditate, what do? We become quiet. We go within. And when we go within, that is when we finally listen. And sometimes when we don't like hearing or feeling or sensing the emotions that suddenly can start to come up in that place of silence, we deflect. You see, a lot of us, we don't have positive associations for silence. Because when we are silent, that is sometimes when all these little demons and little critters, because sometimes that, especially that we've been suppressing, that's coming forward and we feel uncomfortable and we feel anxious. Now we feel depressed. Now, on top of all of this, all these unpleasant sensations, they're coming back. But it's the message that's in these sensations that's actually telling you what you need to do to permanently be relieved from it instead of running in circles. And instead of acting out on certain patterns and behaviors to get rid of it or to suppress it. At least there's a difference between healing something and suppressing it. And when you heal it, listen, you're done. Life goes on. But if you suppress it, You have to keep taking action and to keep finding creative ways, and also even sabotage sometimes, different ways and destructive patterns and cycles to suppress the emotions once again, especially with the message that the body is trying to get you to connect with. So the problem remains. Now, what happens is that all these messages are constantly coming up, and the body is now also physically reacting, right? It's feeling the stress because this stress it's always there. It doesn't go away. And all this unresolved trauma that sometimes now keeps coming forward, and it's also affecting your subconscious mind. Because remember, we have about, I don't know who's counting, but they say research shows that we have about 90,000 thoughts per day, and at least 70,000 thoughts are repeated the next day. That's because we're negative bias. So that means we're constantly focusing on things that actually are quite negative. And that's now what's exasperating our current pain that we now also have. So, all these negative thoughts that you now have of maybe today and how you're feeling, and maybe you had a bad day, maybe someone triggered you, or maybe some old trauma came up. Now, our subconscious mind or conscious mind is constantly working, right? It's always brewing over these things. And sometimes we're not even aware of it. But these thoughts are carried over to the next day, and then carried over to the next day, because we tend to focus more on the negative rather than the positive. So, of course, these negative thoughts are going to be quite dominant, and they're going to be more than likely carried into our new tomorrow. And then what happens? We reinforce the negative state that we were in, because it's almost like we're reliving it in one way or another. And the body is now biochemically also reacting to that. Because now what's happening is that the state of stress that the body is in, it doesn't calm down from that. The body doesn't regulate itself, because we wake up the next day and these memories are just boom, they're just back there again. And then the body has another biochemical response to that stress that we're feeling. And so what we focus on, it persists. And what you focus on, that's where your energy flows. And that's also why we end up becoming more and more a frequency match to these negative thoughts and feelings. And that is why we become more in alignment with people and circumstances that's constantly going to cause us to reinforce these negative feelings that we feel, because we are a vibrational match. Now, that's also why we sometimes feel like, wow, I'm the hamster in the wheel, and I can't break these toxic and negative cycles. Now, on top of that, we also have the RAS, which is the reticular activating system. Now, this system is our subconscious mind that focuses what you focus on. So if you focus on negative thoughts, it's going to look in your environment and filter in things that are similar or in sync, or a vibrational match to these negative thoughts that you have. Now, have you noticed that when you are really happy, it's almost like everything just looks great and you feel good, right? You feel good about yourself as well. But when you're having a bad day and then suddenly everything looks terrible, everything, even from the people, they all look miserable. The day just looks really doomy and gloomy. Now, this is a great example. Your RAS filters is now in full motion, because what you focus on, you can now already see the toxic cycle, how it filters that in from your environment, feeding it back to you, exasperating the negative thoughts that you have. Now, reinforcing the RAS to go and look, or at least filter in all these negative vibrational matches that will relate to you, how you're feeling from your environment and the people in it as well. It's a really, really negative cycle, and the body continues to have biochemical responses to it. So you see, it focuses on what you focus on, and then your RAS can reinforce your environment and the negative state that you're in. It's an ongoing cycle. So now it begs the question, which I'm probably sure you're asking, when does it end? Well, it ends when you consciously make an effort to actually put a stop to it. Now, the next question is, how do you put a stop to it? The answer, what I already said right from the beginning: have a relationship with your body. Learn and understand the languages of your body, and learn to befriend your emotions. This is fundamentally important, because when you befriend your emotions, guess what? Your intuition is always going to skyrocket. Why? Because when we receive an intuitive message, How do you think that you're receiving that message? The message comes through the quantum field through signals from other people that your body is now interpreting and picking it up from, and is relaying that data through your body, triggering subconscious memories to help you to interpret that message. And how your intuition then works. It sets the path forward, and the messages are relayed back to you. And so, of course, based on all these sensations, you formulate the idea and the message and then express it to someone or yourself, understanding what the message is. And voila. But now you've also seen by the simple example that I just gave how fundamentally important it is to learn to befriend your emotions. Because if you want to increase your intuition, that is the best tip that I can possibly give you. Befriending your emotions means embracing something that you might not necessarily like. But remember, what you're feeling is either in the future or it doesn't exist, right? Especially when you are driven from a place of fear, because most of what we feel is based on past triggers. It's just no longer real anymore. And our bodies and our nervous system just have not fully regulated itself, right? It hasn't regulated our emotional world to understand that these things are, in fact, of the past, and the challenges, they're done. Because remember, resilience also comes from feeling that we have overcome past traumas or stress. So you can see how fundamentally important it is to feel your emotions. But it's also precisely the thing that we hate so much, right? And we've set up our lives with destructive patterns to just avoid feeling. So the language of the body is very, very important because it's there to help you. But we often see it as a curse. We see it as a hindrance, as a nuisance, right? Especially when we have pain, when we have tension, when we have stress. All these signals are seen as being negative. Pop a pill, have a glass of wine. But they're actually very important. They are your GPS and your guiding light showing you what is not working for you anymore and what needs to shift. Because our bodies change and evolve in response to stress. Because if everything is going perfect, there's no reason to change. Evolution only happens when there is stress. However, our negative view of stress can turn into a problem. And unresolved trauma affects our subconscious mind, leading to negative thoughts, and this perpetuates the cycle. You see, so we reinforce our negative state by focusing on it, but it's essential to break this toxic cycle consciously, and that's when healing begins. So it's crucial to understand the power of healing and how it can affect our future generations, because your DNA lineage wants you to solve unresolved problems. It's not there to punish you. So when dealing with negative emotions, it's important to remember that they often have a negative frequency that also disrupts your body's natural harmonious frequency. And the body can't handle this disharmony for extended periods because of this unresolved trauma and stress. Because the emotions that you focus on determine actually which part of the body is affected and what ailment it might trigger. Now, this is also why I'm very passionate about my big book, this book of metaphysical anatomy, which explores the psychosomatic connections between emotions and the physical ailments in detail. And I also created this intuitive body workshop course that helps you to understand messages of your body, especially when it comes through pain, discomfort, or ailments. But first of all, what does it actually mean when you have pain in the body? Because pain in the body and the location of it also changes a little bit the psychosomatic message of that part of the body as well. What does tension mean? What does it mean to be in what does it mean if it's like showing up in different parts of your body? How do you build emotional awareness in your body? How do you do distant viewings? How do you open up your intuition? How do you find your own unique psychic style, intuitive way to read? How do you do remote viewings? Great questions. But the good news is these questions are answered in the intuitive body workshop, because you're actually going to learn how to do all of that. And it is so much fun. Wouldn't it be amazing to finally understand the language of your body and all the messages? You don't even almost need this book in order to be able to do this work. because this is a one-day workshop where you're going to learn all these powerful tools and to heal and to change your conscious and subconscious mind and your emotional body and physical body. Because knowing what you are dealing with allows you now to apply the correct solution. Because sometimes we apply solutions that don't address the actual problem, which leads to what? The problem only persists. So by having awareness of the problem, you can now determine the right strategy. And it makes the solution so much easier when you know where to start and what you are starting with. But in order to do that, you really do need to befriend your emotions and have a relationship with your body and be okay with it. Feel comfortable sometimes just briefly feeling uncomfortable because that's your body's language and the only way that it can get your attention. I mean, do you listen to your body when everything's going well? No. But you listen when things are going really bad. That's when it now gets your attention. Remember that your body is your biggest cheerleader. Its only job is to keep you alive. You are its highest priority and also purpose. But it can only fulfill that purpose if you give it the support that it needs in order to do its job. And to do that, we need to listen. We need to stay connected. And now, I would love to start a healing meditation with you. And when you are ready, you can sit up or you can lie down, whichever way you feel most comfortable. And let's start by taking a nice deep breath. And I invite you to hear, feel, see, or sense yourself in a big open space with a big waterfall in front of you. And as you approach the waterfall, walk underneath it. Feel the water flowing over you and through every single cell in your body. Feel it releasing stress and tension and exhaustion. Let it release stress and responsibilities that don't even belong to you. Draining down, 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 out of your body into the earth. Now, I invite you to bring your full focus and awareness back to your body. And if you really take note, you might even sense your heart beating. Observe now, where do you feel tension or discomfort in your body? Consider where you may feel emotionally uncomfortable in your life. Locate now that emotion and its starting point inside of your body. For example, when you are aware of that emotion, do you feel maybe your awareness is drawn to a certain part of your body? Do you feel pain or heaviness? Tension somewhere? Slight sense of discomfort even? And now, I invite you to Imagine a ball of light. Now that you have the air in the body, imagine a ball of light above your head. And this ball of light represents your awareness. It's almost like a magnifier. It brings clarity wherever it lands. And allowing this ball of light now to move down, 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 down into the area where you felt that emotion, and let it come to rest there. And if it was your whole body, perfect. Allow the light to just wrap it around your entire body. And very quickly, just 1, 2, 3, boom. What does this light bring to your awareness? What is the message? What is the voice? What does it shout? What does it say? Don't think about it. It has to come really quick. Just 1, 2, 3, boom. Give yourself a countdown. Now, I invite you to imagine a beautiful beam of light flowing from your head down throughout your entire body, flowing through that area as well, resolving and dissolving that stress, just flushing out any and all stress or negative messages or discomfort that is there. Feeling how it's releasing, resolving and dissolving. Going, 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 gone. Just flowing out of your body, just down, 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 into the earth. And when you're ready, take a nice deep breath, allowing more clarity to come to you as this healing continues to integrate throughout the day and night. And bringing your full focus and awareness to the bottom of your feet. And notice as you do that how grounded you start to feel, how balanced you feel. Coming back into the body, into the here and now. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and gently come back. And welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And remember, you can find out so much more at matbodyworkshop.com or evetterose.com. And until next time, bye.
So guys, there you have it. Also remember to subscribe to my channel, stay up to date. And also I have a free Mac membership website where we have so many courses up there. There's meditations, there's workshops, whatever you need, it's there. There's so many wonderful webinar replays as well that you can benefit from and also to observe and to learn from. Guys, also remember that I have written 18 books. 18, 1-8. And one of many among them are Metaphysical Anatomy and Psychosomatics for Children. So this one is a Psychosomatics for adults. This one is a Psychosomatics for kids. So these books are super popular. People love it. If you want to learn more about how your body works, understanding messages behind it, maybe you have that gnawing pain or maybe an ailment that's surfacing and you want to understand what is it that your body is trying to tell you. Guys, these books are going to be absolutely invaluable to you. You can find it at evettebooks.com, where you will also find all my other 18 books. And guys, also remember to keep asking all these great questions. I love to answer your questions at Ask Evette, where we discuss, life conundrums and, life challenges, and just answer questions perhaps where you feel, quite stuck in your life. I would love to share my perspective with this and to help you to resolve perhaps certain pain points that you might be having in your life as well. So guys, remember to stay in touch. There's so many great things that's happening. And also something really awesome is that this book is already also in video format. So imagine 679 medical elements in video format, and with meditations and healing courses, workshops, masterclasses, everything behind that in our platinum membership site. So guys, remember to check that out. There is so many great things happening there. So see you there.